Hey, this is Matthew Robbins, pastor of Living Water Worship Center and president of Basileia Ministries. We're coming to you from the Grand Canyon, one of the wonders of the world, something that God created, most likely with the flood when Noah was around. I wanted to share some thoughts with you today, and the title of this little short clip is, Did You Get Your Invitation? And I'm speaking of the time when we're going to gather again with Christ, or not, depending on whether you RSVP with your invitation. We've all been invited to a wedding. We've all actually been asked to participate and be the bride of Jesus Christ, the groom, the only begotten Son of God. And so I want to read just a couple of verses from Matthew where Jesus talks to us about it. It says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a marriage for his son." And that's what God the Father's done. He set up a marriage. And he sent out servants to call those who were invited to the wedding, and they were not willing to come. That's kind of tragic, right? Because this wedding hinges on whether or not you're going to live eternally in heaven or miss heaven. And so we've all been offered an invitation. And what's unique about this wedding is we're encouraged to bring as many guests with us as we can. And so God has sent us an invitation with His Word, with the Bible. He has sent us the groom. He's made it real and available to us to understand and know who the groom is. And then He's asked us to actually be part of the bride, to make up that bride. We believe that day's coming soon when the Lord will have this wedding going on. And so we're asking everybody with this video, have you RSVP'd? Have you sat down and thought about eternity? Have you realized that everything comes to an end? Your job comes to an end someday, your career, things change. I've lived long enough to know that a lot of seasons have come and went. It's a sure thing that all of us are going to die, with the exception of maybe the Lord coming back before we die. But all things come to a close someday. And so what's going to happen with your life or my life? Have you understood the invitation that you have in front of you? Have you stopped to think about how God has invited you into His family, how He's asked you to accept His Son and to be a part of the bride? We are all invited to this wedding, and we're also encouraged not to limit the amount of guests we bring with us. So I also want to challenge you to, if you've accepted your invitation, we want to challenge you to extend that invitation to others, to let them know that they've also been invited to this wedding. And it's really a choice of whether or not where you're going to spend eternity. And so we ask for you to really give it some serious consideration about what you're doing or thinking, whether it comes to this invitation to be a part of the bride of Christ. There's so much going on in our world and so easily to get distracted. You may get that invitation, figuratively speaking, in the mail, overlook it or dismiss it. But that would be a fatal blow to anyone's eternal destiny who refuse the invitation you've been offered through Christ. He made a special gift to all of us. He came to the earth the first time to die in our place, to give us an opportunity to live eternally with Him. He's coming again a second time to get His bride and take them back with Him. So we're challenging today to give this some consideration. With all the distractions, with so many things you can get involved in, you may overlook this invitation. You don't want to miss this wedding. It's going to be the greatest feast. It's going to be the greatest music. It's going to be the greatest time in the history of your life, my life, anybody that would be willing to accept that invitation. So, have you received your invitation? And if you have, what have you done with it? Are you going to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And if you understand the wedding, if you understand your invitation, will you extend that invitation to others? You have a circle of influence that no one else has. Sometimes our circle of influences overlap, right? But we all have a circle of influence that's unique to us. Will you share this with them? Will you show them the invitation that you've received? If you've already RSVP'd, if you've made your life right with Christ, if you've accepted Him as your Lord and Savior, if you've repented, if you've understood what's at stake, would you be willing to share that with others? Would you offer that same invitation to others? Maybe somebody in your family maybe someone at work, maybe somebody in your neighborhood. Think about this wedding that's coming. Don't forget, mark this in your mind's eye. Mark this in your own mind, and remember that someday there's going to be the greatest wedding the world has ever seen. Will you be there? Or have you thrown your invitation away? Maybe you need to go through the trash and find that invitation and look at it again and RSVP by accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. We thank you for joining us today. Think about the critical decision. Think about RSVPing. Think about the wedding that's coming. Think about receiving Christ and making Him your groom, the one you're engaged to. Thank you.